Welcome to the Endless Entrepreneurs YouTube channel. We are kicking off, I guess this is not our first, we're continuing our 6 tips to improve your eBay business series. But more specifically, I'm excited with Chris today from over in Daily Refinement. We are going to start talking about improving your workflow. 3 practical tips to improve your workflow. I'm gonna let Chris introduce himself and talk about the show topic a little bit, and we'll jump right in.
What's up, guys? My name is Chris. I'm Daily Refinement on YouTube and Instagram, and I'm documenting trying to build a 10,000 item store. And I'm super excited to do this new format with Luke. We're sort of doing an eBay A to Z, and we're going to pick 3 letters each day and talk about how we want to improve it. And most importantly, and kind of intimidatingly, each week we're going to talk about how the 3 went last week, trying to improve them. And it's going to show you guys how poorly we execute on trying to make improvements, because there's a lot to do in 1 week.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking before the show, like, man, it's gonna be a little daunting to make sure that I implement all 3 of the things that I'm calling out, because we're basically calling ourselves to the carpet each week and talking about things that we're doing inefficiently, and we're committing to you guys that we're going to try to fix them. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited. If anything, we'll get a little bit better. So it's worth the effort. So Chris, do you want to jump in with your very first one?
Yep, let's get into it. So the very first one that I want to create a process for is getting the items I want to list ready. So the item prep. And I list 250 items a week right now. And my photographer lister does it at my place. And I know that's not available to everyone. But the thing that slows him down the most is that things require prep. So today he's actually coming over to help prep for 2 hours, the 250 items, so that Monday through Friday he can knock out however many he wants to do, because he's a contractor. And what I have seen is he does like between 20 if he's feeling lazy, or 100 if he's feeling froggy. So the first process is getting 250 items ready, and I need to create a process for it. So I don't really know how to do it, other than I'm thinking 10 or 15 items in a bin, and then just stacking the bins on a rolling shelf, and then rolling that shelf to my car to fill up when I buy stuff. I don't know the process yet, but I think I want to have all 250 items on one rolling bin, or one rolling shelf. I think that's what I would like to do.
Okay, so basically you want all the stuff that your lister is going to attack in one location, and separate from the rest of your workflow. Is that what you're trying to accomplish here?
Yes.
Yeah. And trying to make it efficient. It sounds like bringing stuff from your car into the workspace as efficient as you can. Now that makes a lot of sense. Do you have the rolling carts already?
Yes. So I have a rolling bin already. It holds 1, 2, 3, 7, 20. Holds 400 total items.
Holy cow! Wow.
So the rolling shelf, it fits 21 bins and around 10 to 20 per bin.
Okay, so that'll yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And having it in one spot so that it's just done. So will you have all your sourcing? And I guess this is, sorry, I'm drilling deep here, but so when you do your sourcing, you have all the items in one shot, or is it multiple days to get to that 250, or like how does that work for you?
Multiple days. So I'm hoping that where that shelf lives is right where my garage door opens. So I literally am trying to reduce the space, back my car up right to the garage, open it, move it 2 feet to the rack. So multiple times, and just keep those full. And then also it'll give me a visual idea of not to overbuy. You know, if I can just keep it at the best items I can, the best one shelf of items I can keep stocked, then, you know, that way I'm not getting too much.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I think I'll be interested to see how much time you feel it saves you if you do that. Like if you're able to pull it off that way. That's good.
Cool. That's the best case scenario, I think, would be that. But this is probably going to get into one of your tips later, so I'll go over that later. Why don't you go into your second?
Okay. All right. No worries.
You're first, actually.
No worries. So it's interesting. And, before I kick off that first tip, as I was starting to really write out my end-to-end process, which I really have never done before, I've written out specific pieces of process, like for my listers, but I've never, like, when I started thinking about it, I was like, for my business, I feel like there's 5 categories. I source, I prep, I list, I store the items, and then I ship them. And it's like a repeated cycle. Those are like kind of to me the five. And right away, I was starting to like bullet each step, and I'm like, this is overwhelming with how many inefficiencies I have in just making my first list. So my first one I'm going to start with deals with sourcing. And one of the things I do right now, which is highly inefficient, is when I source, I go to thrift stores. Typically, 80% of the time I go to thrift stores, or I have a bulk order mailed to my house. Either way, I bring the inventory in, and I bring it through my front door downstairs, and I take it upstairs to my eBay office. And then it sits there until typically I do a haul video of some kind for my YouTube channel. And so I don't really do anything with it until I do the haul video. So and I started thinking about the fact that like I'm handling this inventory so much more just to do a haul video. And I'm starting to question whether the haul video is the value is worth it enough to go through that. So instead of, I don't want to just get rid of haul videos, the one thing I'm going to try this week is I'm going to try to do my setup downstairs somehow. So as I bring the inventory in, I'm going to get an organized spot and just keep it on the first floor, not go up any stairs, not double handle it, and bring it to one area to sort and to work with. So that's just super simple, but I'm going to try to hold myself to that, not bring it up here where I'm doing the video, and figure out a way to do a haul video somewhere else, at least temporarily, so that I'm not double handling it. Because I think it's creating a ton of extra effort. Like, I mean, if I add up all those little minutes here and there and the physical exertion to bring it up and down the stairs and the bins, I just don't think it's worth it.
This is such an interesting topic because I want to add a haul video.
Right.
So you're talking about removing it, and I'm like thinking, is it possible that I can roll the cart to my desk, do the haul video, put it back on the shelf, and then roll it back over in the place? Because it goes, the shelf where the stuff's unlisted is right next to the photography area, which is right next to the listing area. So right. I guess I could make a U-shaped thing where it's the shelf and on one side is listing and one side is photography. Then it would be in the same area and it wouldn't be inefficient to do the haul video. But then also, as I sell more women's stuff, I don't know what I'm talking about. So I kind of need a female person to present the haul video stuff. But it only is worth it if I sell stuff on the haul video. Otherwise, I know that viewers want to know what I'm buying, but I'm like, just check my store. But they want to see me holding it and talking about it. But, it's for sure the most watched video I make. But I don't like moving it to my YouTube area.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you, right? Like from an audience perspective, I mean, it was a while back I asked the audience, what is it that you like watching the most, right? And haul videos and sales update videos were the two that like they enjoyed, they said gave the most value. That's why like I'm hesitant to just get rid of them, but I definitely have to make my workflow better so I'm not spending extra time and effort that I shouldn't be. And that starts with at least not bringing stuff and double handling it up the stairs, down the stairs. So I'm at least going to implement that, and then you go from there. I have to evaluate this week how that goes, and then go from there. All right. So that was one and one with a little bit of a
we'll try and figure out the haul video vibe, because I do think that that's something that people need to know. A lot of people who are just getting started need that to find out.
And I guess, guys, if you can leave comments after the video or even in the chat, like it's nice to hear, like if you passionately do not want me or either of us to get rid of those videos, or they're adding a lot of value, we want to know, because we're trying to make decisions about what's best for workflow stuff. So we do appreciate the feedback.
The second thing is, for me, I want to know where everything is, and I have no idea where everything is. So as an example, I know that scissors are required in almost every single part of my process. So I have scissors in every single part of my process. The sourcing, I have one in my car. I have one in the listing area, photography area, even the listing area. I always have scissors, but I don't know where on my desk the scissors are. Even though I have one, sometimes I can't find it. And I don't ever put things back where they're supposed to be. I don't have the Zen desk with the foam that everything goes in the same. I don't know if I want to go that hardcore, but I really have no idea where any of the supplies are. I don't know how to reorder supplies when my shipping supplies get low, other than I'll randomly hear someone talk about it on a YouTube video and I'm like, oh, I'll go back and order something. I don't have anything on repeat order. I literally have no idea what supplies I use. So I want to make maybe a little notebook, no, not a notebook, a mini legal pad. I think I should just put in every area of what the stuff is so that I can refill it, because I currently do not know. I don't have any idea.
That's such a that's so interesting, because as I'm thinking through how I handle, I'm in the same boat. Like, I reorder stuff when I'm like, oh, I don't have enough of that. And by that time, that's not a good time to realize I need to order more. Like, it just happened to me with flat rate envelopes. And it cost me about whatever the difference is between padded flat rate and regular flat rate for about a week while I waited for the other ones to get here. So I actually lost money because I wasn't ordering ahead. So I'll be really interested to see what you kind of put into place there. The reorder thing is really interesting to me. Now my mind's spinning a little bit. I wonder if there's ways. I mean, at a minimum, I'm wondering if just setting up alerts in my phone on a monthly basis to order this supply list, right? Like, because I think that we could probably assess roughly how much of a supply we use based on our sales, and then phase that over days, and then just set it to repeat, basically alert you, hey, you need to order these 6 supplies today. That's a good, that's not one of my tips, but that's one of the things that I think I want to think about doing. That's good. I like that. That's awesome.
We always talk about like the things that you set up, like bill pay. I don't think I have a single bill that's not automatically taken out of my bank account. I was like very strictly looking at every single bill the last couple of months, because taxes was really depressing this year. So like I've been looking at every single one of my fees and trying to make it auto pay. Every time you do that, you don't notice the time you save.
Right.
But it adds up. Absolutely.
Well, and someone said auto reorder. I think that exploring the Amazon reorder is going to be a big unlock there. So that might be that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Let's see if there's any other part of that. Yeah, I think at the very minimum, I need to know at least what I am using. Like, what kind of tape am I using? What kind of boxes? I have regional boxes that I don't use very often. So like, I need to have an idea, because space is limited also.
Right. Well, and I think, that's the tricky part, is you can't over order either. Like, that's the balance of setting up auto reorders. You can't over order when you don't have, when space is at a premium. So that's interesting.
Cool. One more thought on that for the item prep that I was talking about before. Having a visual idea of how many items I can hold has eliminated my death pile. Because I know that if you don't have a constraint that you create, you can just buy forever. Like, there's no shortage of stuff you could buy, especially when you start buying bulk. It starts to get ridiculous fast. So if you need to say, I only am going to use this area, then you can slowly get rid of your death pile. A lot of people message me how to get rid of it, and that's one way of doing it. Create an artificial restraint for yourself.
That makes a lot of sense. It's so simple, but I've never really thought about it that way. I always just throw it in the corner, and it just kind of stacks up. So that's.
But the same corner probably.
Yeah, actually, what I'm finding now, though, and I think like I kind of have that artificially built in without trying, is that now that I have listers, I'm trying to fill literally 6 bins a week with clothing, right? About 20 items a piece, 60 per it. Now that I have to do that, my death pile is virtually gone, because I'm trying to just stretch to get those I'm to source 120 items minimum a week. Like, I never had to source that much before, because I was only listing 300 a month by myself, So yeah, I think and it does work, because my death pile is almost non-existent right now. So
I like that 6 bin thing, because that I'm at 250 capacity a week. So that's like roughly 12, 13 bins.
Right. So, okay. So then we're right in that about 20 items a bin. Nice. Okay. That makes sense. That's a good tip.
And the shelf I have holds 21.
21 bins?
21 bins. So now you have a kind of an idea that you have a little bit more than a week, but not 2 weeks.
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw, so I've been redoing my inventory in my garage. And so I have those big wire shelves, but I've always had those clunky gray bins with tons of dead space. And I'm finally getting rid of them. I literally have like 50 of these bins I'm just going to give away to other resellers here. And I'm going to 3 bins across with almost no dead space. So now I can fit 15 on a shelf, I think. Yeah. I can fit 15 per shelf. With no dead space at all. So I'm seeing a huge difference in the amount of space I'm gaining back now, because I don't need as much space at all, which is awesome. But totally tangent there, but had to share. Okay, number 2 is me. So I'm just gonna stick along. Well, actually, I'm gonna stick with the sourcing workflow and kind of shift towards like the item prep. So as I bring in the items, the other big issue I'm having is not big issue, but thing I need to improve on is I'm not sorting things until like the last minute. So like literally, if anyone watches my vlogs, every Sunday morning I'm like racing, like pulling through all my Goodwill bags and wherever stuff was after the haul video to separate into bins, the female stuff to the person who does that, and the male stuff to the person who does that. And it's just like it's chaos. Like, and I miscount a lot of times, and like it's just not a good system, and it's always reactive. So what I want to work on this week is as I source the items, right? The minute that, and I think what I'm gonna have to do is the minute I do the haul video is I'm gonna use the haul video this week. So I'm gonna try it with the haul video to sort the items into their bins. So as I show them on screen, I'm gonna separate them male, female. I'm gonna have the bins around me while I do the haul video, and I'm literally just gonna drop them in the bin as I go so that my bins, when I'm done with my haul video, are actually packed, ready for my listers. I think that's gonna be the best way for me to keep the haul video into my workflow, but also not overhandle it, and to keep it on the first floor. So I think that's what I'm going to have to do is basically bring the items out of my car to the dedicated space where I'm going to do my haul video, drop the things in the bins as I'm doing my haul video, wrap up the video, and they should be in their bins ready to go. And then I could probably, theoretically, load them in my car for the weekend and just have them there ready to go meet them. So that's, feel free to poke holes or add suggestions, but I think that's what I'm going to try to attack.
I have one gigantic rack of mixed. The 21 bins that are on there right now have no rhyme or reason whatsoever, and it slows down the photographer so much.
That's interesting. So you don't. So that's funny, right? Because so like if we were to do the items, we would sort them and batch them to speed up our own process.
Right. But I'm not.
Now I don't sort them by type in my bins. I just have someone who does mostly male stuff and someone who does mostly female. So I try to separate it. But that's interesting because now I'm thinking of another thing that I probably could do. But I guess that's speeding up the lister. That's not speeding up me.
I'm not doing anything. So he has to struggle through. That's why he's coming on a day off to organize it. So this week he can do it faster.
Right.
So I could save him the trouble if I'm unloading it and it's marked, shirts, then I won't have to think about it. But
so that's that's an interesting conversation, and I don't know if this is the right platform for it. But so we outsource to people to list because we're buying back time, right? So effectively, that's what we're doing. But is it worth it to spare a little more of our time to make them faster? I think it might be because it's going to make them more enjoyable for them and them less likely to get burnt out, which I think adds to retention.
Yeah, because like this guy is coming even though he's not being paid.
Right.
So that's how much he enjoys having it sorted.
Right.
So definitely peace of mind.
Huh. Okay, this is interesting to chew on. I'm kind of thinking now maybe I should be streamlining.
On that same thought, he was saying there are days I do 40 and there are days I do 20. I think the days I do 80, I get into a groove and it's just ready for me to go.
Right.
And his quota is 250. He's like, I could knock it out in 3 days and then take the rest of the week off.
Right.
He would rather do that. He's like, he even thinks it's possible to try to knock it out in 2 days if everything was very streamlined and ready and it was like just right there. Right. But he's thinking more like half a day of prep. And I'm wondering if that's something if the bins were labeled, it probably wouldn't take half a day. It'd probably take only a few minutes to organize it. If you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, now I'm thinking when I organize my haul video, I'm going to try to do like shirts in one, pants in one, just to at least give them some already head start on the organization. Because right now I don't. I'm so frantic. I'm like just throwing things in and counting as I go. Like, oh, yeah, that one's 20. Good. Lid. Let's go. Like,
I know.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Man. So much good stuff. Like once you start talking about it, just so much more comes out of it. It seems like such a simple tip, but
it's definitely messy. So I'll get into my third one.
So let's jump into your third. Yeah.
You guys, you go ahead and ask your questions, and we will answer them towards the end. So the third thing I'd like to try to do is make sure I do all of my shipments by 8 p.m. The previous night. And that way, in case I want to throw in a couple more before I at the end of the day, most of it is done. And I don't have a lot of shipments. I'm Pacific Standard, so like that's already 11 Eastern.
Right.
Like most of the sales have happened before then, so I can get it all done by then. Then I can not use technology, hopefully, at that time, and I can sleep better. So like if I am doing too much stuff at night, then I just basically stay up till midnight instead of 10. So I'm trying to cut my technology time off earlier. So I don't know how to get it all done before 8, because most of the time I don't even start until after 8. So I need to reorganize my day and try to get it. I don't know exactly, but that's what I would like to do, because I want it done by 9.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So I'm about to live, or I'm hopefully moving with my girlfriend and getting married next year. That's the plan. We're working on it. But living together, she's like, it would be nice if like there's no eBay the last 2 hours of the day.
Right.
And so we want to go to bed around 10. So I'm trying to make that work. I don't know how to do it yet. But she's like, I would be fine with like after dinner, I go do something and you go do something and we reconvene at whatever. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna need to figure out a process for that.
It's good that you're thinking about that process now, because now you can do the process improvement before you're in that situation. It's way harder once you're in that situation to then backpedal and figure out how to fix it. So that's good. You're figuring it out now. I know Shannon, for me, she's like, pretty much we've tried all sorts of different models and what works and what doesn't. The nice part now is we're doing CrossFit at night. So basically after CrossFit, we're both so smoked that it's just like we go do our own thing and then come pass out. So it's kind of like, but yeah, that used to be the same way before we had that. It was, I tried to have a cutoff time where it was just like, all right, I'm done, like unplug. So that's good. I think you'll be able to do that. I don't think you'll have much of a trouble with that, but I think if you can steadily do it, I think you'll free up your mind a lot more too. Like you'll just be able to have good thoughts going into the next day.
I want to mention that I think is super good for this is trying to not do stuff by yourself is much easier, because if you're doing CrossFit with her and then you decide you're going to do stuff and then come back, you're more likely to go do it.
Right.
If you have other people keeping you accountable, especially in person, it's totally different. If you don't have the habit of doing something, don't hang out with you, because you are the problem. Yeah. So try to get people who are different to be in there and do it. Like I just figured out my worst enemy is yesterday version of me.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, it's very true.
Be that person.
No, that's Shannon was my unlock for fitness, because it was you're not going to let me not go tonight, so I guess I'm going. And then it's like, oh, I'm really glad I went. So yeah, I hear that. All right, my third one. So I use InkFrog for a lot of my listings. So for most of my listings now, I have listers who draft listings from basically start to finish. Like I said, I give them the bins of clothing. They do the photos. They do the listings. I use a master profile template. They fill out all the fields I've asked them to fill out. And then I go in at the end and I put a price, and I put the SKU number, and I put the cost of goods in for myself. Those are the three things to do. And then I obviously proofread it. I usually edit titles, here and there, little preference things that I'm working through with them. But the first thing I need to do, and I just realized I was writing this down before our show, is I was like, why? I already have them put the SKU number in the item description. I should just have them already put that in the custom SKU field. There's no reason for me to have to do that every single time. It doesn't take long, but when I'm setting 120 of these live a week, I don't need to do that 120 times over. Like if they're already doing it, they're already in there, they already have the information fresh in their head. I just need to start asking them to do that. So when we get down to the show, actually, I'm going to send them texts and see if that's something they can try for this week. I still have to enter the cost of goods, because what I do is I do my SKU number and I do a hyphen and then I do the cost of goods, so that I can, chop them up using Excel if I need to later. But I think I'll still have to do the cost of goods. I don't really know a good hack for that yet. I'm gonna have to figure out if there's a way to do that. That's all custom right now for me, but definitely this week is doable and achievable to have them start doing that, to save me that couple seconds that I am, exerting every single time.
This is really important, because if you have stuff spelled out exactly, And people are so happy when they're here to just do a specific task and get paid. But when people have to be creative, creative work gets paid much higher than execution work. So if someone doesn't know how to do something and they have to figure it out, they're always going to feel underpaid, which is going to be very bad. You want people like move this tree for $10. They show up and move the tree for $10 the way that you told them to do it. They have to figure out how to do it. It just became $100 an hour job that they're being underpaid for. So I think this is super key. My photographer gets super annoyed when there's a step that he doesn't know how to do added in.
Right.
But if it's explained, it doesn't just gets done. There's no difference. Like he has he wanted me to make a visual of what the photos look like in order. So he can just look at it and take those exact photos. He's like, if you want me to take the same photos every time, if you want consistency in your store, then show me how it's supposed to be. And then that speeds my time. I'm not thinking about what order to take the photos in every time. You make my life easier. And then he's like, I can execute, he's like, I want to be able to listen to a podcast and be able to execute your work perfectly.
Right. He wants it to be mindless so that he can plow through. Yeah, absolutely. And and that's where drafting listings is always so tricky, right? Because there's always some subjectivity in when you're writing titles. And so what I've done for so far is, so I have 2 resellers also. That's the other thing. And you do too. You have a reseller, right? So someone who already resells writing these titles. So they already have some concept of how to do it. So it's not as excruciating from a creativity standpoint. However, what I've done is I've templated just literally brand, style, size. Like I put in the sample title the things I want them to enter. And so they can just replace each of those. And then I'll worry about making it flow and be nice, right? Like I'll worry about doing those small edits because I'm going to proofread it anyways. But it's just interesting when you look at it, like I'm trying to document my end-to-end from a lister perspective. And it's difficult, like to make it what you just described, right? To make it mindless and so simple. You have to provide so much more detail than you think because it's all just up here. And you're just so used to just pulling from your knowledge bank. You forget that nobody has that. Like nobody has all of that, those hours and hours and hours of repetition that you have.
I've never heard, this sounds a little weird, but I don't really hear workers that work at Starbucks or McDonald's or fast food in general, where everything is like seconds matter.
Yeah.
They never complain about being underpaid. But people who work at jobs that like they don't know exactly what their manager wants, they hate their lives so much. Those are the people who want to resell for a living. They're like, I never know what my work's supposed to be. It's always different. I don't get paid enough to put up with this. You know, and I'm just like, okay, now it's really starting to come together. And most of the, like, if your workers don't want to work for you, it's probably because it's not clear.
Yeah, I think you're dead on, especially in what we're talking about here, right? Like, it's either one of 2 things. It's if they don't want to work for you, it's because you haven't provided the right win-win arrangement, or it's what you're talking about where the actual execution is so unclear, it's frustrating, it's not worth their time, right? Like, those are usually the 2 things I find, like, creating the win-win is huge. Like figuring out what do they want out of it and then being able to deliver, and then also making sure that the execution and the education of it is so seamless that it's not frustrating. Like those are, and they're both hard to pull off, but that's what I think makes a successful relationship from like a work, having a contractor or a lister or whatever you want to call it.
And my lister also does this. He told me straight up, whatever you expect of me, I'm going to do 1 unit higher than that and no more. So if you want to do a better whatever, make it very clear what you're looking for, because I'm not going to do more than that.
And we shouldn't expect him to.
Nor should him. Exactly. He wants the amount.
Absolutely. Well, that's why I talked about in a different video. Like I was talking, someone asked me how much I paid my listers, and I was like, I paid $2.50 an item, which is more than really any of the other people I've really talked to about. And they're like, why so much? It's like, I want it to be worth their time. Like it saves me so much time. I don't want them to feel like they're getting paid exactly what it's worth, the task is. And I don't want them to feel like they're getting underpaid. I want them to feel like they're getting more than it's worth, because then now I have a win-win relationship with them. And it's a sign of respect that I have for them, especially when you're working with other resellers. Like I want them to feel respected. They're growing their businesses. I'm excited for them, right? Like I want them to thrive too and be mutually beneficial. And so you can take so many approaches with this. I love the discussion. I think that's a really important thing to talk about, especially if you're going to try to scale at any level.
One more thought on that is when you pay people, I pay $2, more than a dollar or 70 cents, like some people are paying really low. This is what happens is it forces you to buy better stuff.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
not gonna pick up something that's only $7 profit if you have to pay 250 for someone to list it. You're
Hmm.
gonna have no problem saying no.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, I did the margin math, so like, because I mean, I've actually gotten, I haven't shared a lot of the comments, but I've gotten some pretty, you know, the usual private comments you get from critics all over the place about how I'm overpaying and I don't know how to run a business and blah 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 blah. But I did the margin calc, and it was like, so a sale of $23.99 with my current model and my current cost of goods, paying someone $2.50 takes me from a $12 net profit to a $9.83 net profit. But I'm saving 75% of the time that I was spending on that to begin with. So you kind of like, so basically it's like I get 75% of my time back, and it only dropped me by like, I don't know, what's that, 15% in margin? It's like, I don't know. Like when I look at it from that perspective, I'm like, you can hit it all you want, but I mean, what, negotiating that 50 cents less or that dollar less, you think, is it really worth it? Like, it's not worth it if I have to list 300 items a month again by myself.
This is also very interesting because when you have most of eBay is 80% of eBay is $20 or less, which means that most of eBay has people with staff and they're running on smaller margins. Because when you're doing expensive stuff, more unique, more rare, it takes more time, and then it's usually a one or a smaller operation.
Mm-hmm. No, totally. And I mean, you remember talking with Dave, right? Drive Time with Dave about his operation. And it was like, you get to a point where even though you're making less money, you're doing more volume in less time. And so you're making more money, right? You're not making as much money per unit, but you're making more money overall in the same time period. That's all that matters. Like at the end of the day, net profit per minute is the most important metric, right? Like there isn't anything more important than that.
You talked about 7-figure companies. Like it's not possible to net more than you can't even net two. Like it's going to be less than 10%.
Yeah, you're talking like product sales, like
when you're
like
there,
retail, like e-commerce, whatever. Yeah,
it's going to eat up all the operation. But then, like you could literally go on vacation, and if you are a highest level entrepreneur, when you take your time off, you can actually grow.
Yeah. No, sorry, I was dealing with a fun person in the chat there. Speaking of,
this is the guy that Keller Williams, the real estate. I think that's a real estate company, but he says not only when he takes time off does his business continue, but it actually can grow without him. That is the ultimate business model, but that's the highest level. If you can take time off and it actually grows, that's insane.
Yeah, that's full automation, right?
Full automation.
Jason and I were talking about that we did a show over on his channel. I think it was on Thursday, and he was talking about that one of his number one goals for this year is working on an obsolescence plan, right? Making his need and his inputs into the business being obsolete so that it can keep growing. And I think that's such an awesome perspective to have and to strive for. And I think that's where we both are, because I mean, you're a little bit further ahead than I am, especially on the eBay front. And I think actually Jason started, he's really doing well with that automation piece. And it's like, as you work to automate yourself out of your current role in your business, usually that means your business is growing and making more money. Like the less you're doing and need to do usually means that you're going to make more money in the long run.
Absolutely. And again, these are little things that you don't notice. Like you hire someone for $10 a meal to make good food for you, and it costs more than $3 on a cheaper meal, but then you can work half an hour longer,
which is worth more than that $7.
More than that, but you don't notice that. But the thing is, you can't take the shortcut of hiring someone and then not use that time to increase your output, because then what will happen is, you just lose money. You just earn a new expense.
Right. You brought a new expense without offsetting it with the opportunity cost, right? So you justified paying the person because you said there was an opportunity cost far greater I need to take advantage of. But if you don't take advantage of it, now you just made your bottom line lower is all you did. And you can watch a different episode of something while that's happening probably. So, No, this was good. I'm really excited that this is going to be the format for the next several weeks because I've really been kind of stuck. Like I got over the hump of scaling to having people list for me, and I let go of that control, and it's starting to work. But then I kind of started to hit another rut where I wasn't pushing myself to refine my processes further and keep improving. So this, I think, is going to be the perfect setting selfishly for me to really push myself. So I think it's going to be fun. You want to take some of these questions here, roll up and see what we got?
I know. I was telling people that I had to put my phone in my running shoes in the morning to motivate me to go running in the morning.
That's a good plan. I like that.
And I'm going to sleep in my workout gear so I can just go. And my alarm says go running. So I'm trying to
all that mental,
trying to reduce the mental decision making.
So Angie had a good tip here. She's just saying that you should create a spreadsheet with the items of the supplies that we want to order and include them like an item number, the company name, like a website, like all the different links and things to just speed up that reorder process, especially for ones that you probably can't automate, to at least have that there. And I think if we compare something like that with, I don't know, a phone alarm or whatever, I think that would definitely stir up the process a lot more than it is, at least in my business.
I think even you can set a recurring calendar date.
That's what I think I'm going to have to move to, is recurring calendar dates.
Order X amount of, because you can kind of predict your sales too, how much stuff that you need in the future.
Exactly.
You know, Amazon's killing it with people who can get, they can supply toothpaste that reorders every 6 months or something.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have so I bought a Keurig for my grandmother for one of her birthday. It was like over Christmas, and then I set up recurring shipments of K-cups so that she doesn't have to go buy them. And it was like I had forgotten all about it. It's been doing it for like 6 months. I mean, it's a brilliant model for Amazon. Like, hey, what's that charge? Oh yeah, I forgot I was ordering that. Like, which is totally fine. I'm glad to do it, but it's a really good model for them. And I think that leveraging it to gain back time is a huge hack. So
maybe you can answer this question first. What are the responsibilities for your listers, and how much are you already went over how much they get paid, but
I think that's a good question. I'm actually there are some fuzzy lines on it because it's kind of evolved each week as they've gotten better and I've gotten better at learning, and communicating. But high level is I meet them once a week is the one requirement to exchange inventory that they have completed prepping and inventory, and I give them fresh inventory. What they do with the fresh inventory is they take photos. So I give them the amount of photos basically I want, or how I want photos taken. They take the photos in their own setups in their own home, or around their schedule. They have the full week to get it done at any point in time they want. They don't have to do a certain amount per day. They can do them all on Saturday night before we meet if they want. But they do all the photos. They do the full descriptions in InkFrog using master templates that I have. And so I literally have a template for every single type of item. So, women's shirts, men's shirts, et cetera, et cetera. And they drop in the key information. So the measurements, the brands, the styles, they fill out all the fields I need, so that the only thing that I have to do is go in, proofread the title and edit it, proofread the fields, and then set the price and the cost of goods. And I was doing inventory number, and I'm going to have them do that from now on. And then that sets live. So that's top to bottom, high level, what I require them to do. And I paid them $2.50 per item. And I'm actually having my one lister is going to do suits for me for the first time this week. And so I'm going to pay $3.50 for suits because the pants will take a little extra time.
So mine is start to finish everything except for pricing. So I'm in the same room working on other stuff. So he can ask, what is this price if I'm there? If I'm not there, he just puts $99, and I know to adjust the pricing to whatever before I launch. And so prep is something that I would like to do for him because he doesn't like it very much. But right now it's basically taking the items, photographing them. He's listing them on Poshmark and eBay, and then pre-packaging them. And right now I was having him put it back in the in my garage storage system, but it's not too difficult. So I'm doing it myself. Plus then I can kind of double check and make sure, because I would say there's about a 1 to 2% defect rate in that. Sometimes the custom SKU is wrong. sometimes the title is off 1 to 2% of the time, and I don't have an issue with that. I actually told them that 4% is fine. I'm going through and checking it. I'm like, I'm not expecting you to be a robot. You're going to make issues. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm going to try to catch it. And the most common one is the custom SKU being incorrect. So it'll be like A9814, and in the listing, it'll say A9614 or something. But because my last photo is the pin, I have a redundancy built in for that, and that has saved me. So I think if you guys can do that part of it, it's great because I'm not expecting him to be perfect. And I think that reducing the pressure off of the person to do it perfectly is great. They're not compensated like you. They shouldn't have to do the same quality as work as you. And like, he knows that I'm not going to get mad. So I think it's important to do that.
That's great.
Shipping poly bag. Yeah, I'm doing the shipping poly bag. So all of my stuff is now. I actually had to reduce the. Sadly, I had to reduce 20 items per bin to 15 so that it can be prepackaged.
Yeah, so see, that's where Chris and I differ. Is I don't the only thing I pre-pack is I have them labeled in 12 by 15 clear poly bags. I do all of the packaging of the actual shipping materials, so like the opaque, like the gray poly mailer or the flat rate envelopes, whatever. I do that at the back end, and that's something that I'll probably be something I try to improve in the future, and I'll probably be leaning on Chris and debating it a little bit with him on a efficiency standpoint, because you've been pre-packing pretty much since the beginning at some level for shipping.
Mm-hmm. And I switched to a lot of outerwear and shoes, and outerwear I hang. Mm-hmm. I now have 4 double Z racks, and then shoes I don't pre-package. So, and I did switch to gigantic poly mailers. So I don't ship in bags anymore, in boxes anymore, which has saved me a lot of time and tape. I just
so you just throw the shoebox right in the giant poly mailer, basically.
Throw the shoebox in the giant poly mailer. That's it.
That makes way more sense.
A lot less space, but that being said, it is a poor experience for the buyer. So,
yeah, yes, and I mean, agreed. I guess poorer than, but at the same time, like, no one goes in. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna leave that one there. I'm not gonna get into that. Let's see. Yeah, any other questions, drop them in there, guys. Otherwise, we will probably wrap up here shortly.
Mm-hmm.
Tom asked an interesting question. He said, I'm buying clothing from a retail liquidator. I pass at $4, but will buy at $2.50. My sales are $19.99 to $39.99. At $19.99, is it worth the $1.50 extra in your opinion?
It's a great question. What do you think?
I mean, the answer is it always depends. But at a high level, if you are not able to source enough inventory that's better than that in the time you have, then I would say why you definitely should go for it. But the questions I have are, how heavy is it to ship? So how much is that eating into your margin? How big are the items to store? Like, are they just shirts, or are they like shoes and things like that, and coats? And then, do you have someone helping you, like a lister, where it makes sense to turn volume because you want to keep them busy and you're scaling in that sense? Those would be my questions or my thoughts on it. But I would say at a high level, if it's helping you to source and saving you time, then it could be worth it. What do you think, Chris?
At my stage now, no longer worth it, because I need the minimum is buy for 5 and sell for 30, or buy for 10, sell for 40. So I have this written down, and my suppliers know it, and I look at it when I'm sourcing. So I'm just a little bit more disciplined. I have more time to go sourcing now since my lister is doing most of the heavy lifting. So I just see 5 for 30, or 10 for 50, or I'm sorry, 10 for 40 and higher, or 20 for 60. And I'm looking for those types of things. And it's kind of like that reticular activating thing in your brain. Once you have an idea of 20 to 60, it's basically like, for example, it's eliminated dress shirts for the most part. There are certain brands you can sell for 40 pre-owned, but usually not. So like, I don't spend a lot of time there anymore, but $30 dress shirts are more common. So if I'm looking there, I have very specific brands that meet that criteria. And again, it comes down to time. When I had more time than money, picking it up for 5 and selling it for 15 shipped was fine. I could still double my money.
Yeah.
And it was okay.
And I think, again, you hit it right. It depends what stage you're at, right? So what stage of your business are you? What have you evolved to? If you're just starting out and it makes sense to snowball your business that way, then go for it. Like just piggybacking what you said, I gave that $23.99 scenario. So basically I $24 shipped. I'm trying to make my floor for my listers, basically. Like I'm trying to make that be the price, the lowest price I'm shooting for from an item that one of my listers is prepping. Because it's basically $10 net profit for me, and I'm comfortable with that at the volume that I'm trying to source and crank out. I hope that keeps going up, but for right now, my current situation, that's the model I've adopted.
Awesome.
All right. Well, let's take this last one because I'm not really sure. I've sold a couple, but so someone just asked, do snowboard pants sell all year round for you guys? So I think let's just, in general, like, do off-season items sell all year round? What do you think, Chris?
For sure. I'm like, right now, outerwear is cheap.
Yep.
So I'm buying it like crazy. There's so many winter coats at Goodwill in my area that they've actually come off the price for the first time ever because they just have so much of it. And so I say yes. I'm selling. I just sold. I think I sell 2 or 3 coats a day.
Yeah, I've been stocking up on it. Like a lot of my Blue Lots orders were all outerwear stuff because it's cheaper now, and I don't care if it takes a little longer to sell. It still sells. I mean, I sold a pair of Arc'teryx snow pants the other day. Sold a pair of Fly Low ones. They're still moving. It's definitely not as fast as like November of it would be, but they're still moving. It's worth it to pick them up. And I think, like you said, you can get a way better deal on them right now. All right. Well, I think this was a fun show. I think this was good. I think we'll wrap up here. I'm looking forward to seeing how well we can implement these in the next week and hearing how it goes, especially from your end. We will be over on Chris's channel at Daily Refinement. The link is below. Please check him out. I know you guys are all probably subscribed to him, but if you aren't, make sure you go over and show him some love. We will be on his channel next week. We will alternate each week. Thanks for the support, guys. Hit the like button on the way out, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.